Hello and welcome to Snapshot 12, week 34A. I'm going to just be briefly showing you some of the new features, and there are quite a few new features, and it's probably one of the best snapshots so far. So to start off, we have trapdoors. You can now place them on the top of a block and on the bottom of a block, so that's quite nice for decoration, like that. Next is these walls. We have cobblestone walls and mossy cobblestone walls, and they work very similar to fences. They connect like that, and they have this post at the corners and such, like that, so very similar to fences. Next is pots, clay pots, and these basically act for decoration. They can house, all of the plant blocks and such, saplings and everything, so those are quite nice. Another thing that we have is wooden buttons, which work like regular buttons, except you can use arrows on them and they will still work. And they're a bit glitchy as well, apparently. Next, what there is these little item frames, which I'll get into more detail about in a minute, but there are two new vegetables. Carrots, those, and potatoes. And those are quite nice looking. They look a little bit like wheat, but they have that little bit at the bottom once they're full grown. Another thing is corner stair blocks, which update automatically. So if I show you this over here, you go like this, and you go like that, and you go here, and it automatically does it, which is maybe a bit annoying, but they might change that, I'm not sure. Another thing, which is quite exciting, is you can dye dogs now. So it's not the actual dog itself, but the collar will change to colour when you use dye on it. Like if I wanted a yellow dog collar, I click on it, and they will turn yellow. So that's quite nice for just a little addition. Now these item frames can house not just items but blocks, and the blocks will have a bit of 3D to it, so that looks very nice. And these are for all blocks, so that's very, very nice indeed. Next is, and this is very exciting as well, is dyeable leather armour. And already that sounds very, very good, but there's actually quite something even more interesting to it, in that it's not actually limited to the just basic colours. You can dye them, like there are so many colours you can dye them. You see, it's not quite white. You see, it can dye just basically, combined with other colours, it can just make lots and lots and lots of colours. So that's very, very neat as well. So if we just go into here and put that on, nice dyed leather cap, and this only works for leather, it doesn't work for the other ones, so that's interesting. And another thing is an invisibility potion, which you can probably guess what it does. Is you drink it and you are invisible, but your armour and items still show, and there's a little particle effect as well, so that is a little bit of a downfall, but I think it looks quite cool. It's quite a nice compromise. Another thing, the next thing, is maps have been updated a little bit. So I'll show you how these work now. First of all, maps now appear as empty maps when you create them, and to activate them you simply right click and it will start filling in. And they basically start out the most possibly zoomed in version, so it's quite detailed. But if you want to zoom out on it, go into crafting table, get the map, and you get the paper, this paper, like so. And when you look at it, again, it will be slightly zoomed out, and you can keep doing that until the maximum zoomed out level. Now also, you can clone maps. So if you get a regular map and a blank map and you put them together on the crafting grid, it will clone it so you can share them. And another thing for maps, which is probably the most interesting, is markers. So if you have a map, well, if you have two maps or multiple maps, and I assume this works for players as well, but I haven't tried. If more than one map exists, or just one, and it's, for instance, if it's placed in a frame, wherever these frames are, a marker will appear. So this is the frame here, and it also happens that there's a marker over here, so we should probably go check that out. And I will show you the last, and probably the best addition, and it concerns portals. And everyone likes portals, but this is very, very, very interesting. So, the thing with portals, and here's the map, so this is where we are now, and this was where we were, which is just over there. So that's very interesting, that's going to be really useful for adventure maps. But, concerning portals, it's, you can now let entities go through portals, and I'll show you what that means. So, and this is a little bit glitchy, it's a bit buggy for some reason, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. But let's say, what animal do we want to use? Let's say a pig. Pig over here. So if we spawn this pig here and push it in, he vanishes. And basically what's happened is that pig has teleported to the nether. And this, by the way, this also works for end portals, but I'm not going to show you that because it's the same concept. So these pigs are going to the nether. And this works for all entities, so not just pigs, it happens for item drops, minecarts and everything. And these entities will teleport here, but it's a bit odd because I think what might be happening is they get here and then they move and they move back into the portal and teleport back. I don't know how to fix that, but I'll just show you. Boat. A boat is also an entity. Just item drops, if I just chuck those in there, disappear. Arrows are a bit of a weird one. What you'd assume they'd do would be if you shot them like that, they'd go through. And they do go through, but I think they might lose their momentum, so they don't actually shoot. See, some of them actually go through. But if you actually fire them on the portal like this, it will teleport, and when you go through, see, all the items are here. So that's very interesting, and that's going to open a ton of possibilities. In fact, I actually have an idea for that, which someone's probably already going to come up with, but that's very exciting. I think there are a few more minor details, but I'm not going to show those because I'm just going to show the interesting ones. But there's quite, as you can see, there's quite a lot of changes in this snapshot, and especially this and the display cases, the display the display frames, and the maps. They're just really useful, and it's going to open up tons and tons of possibilities. Very excited about this. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day.